All right, Arkansans, we wrapped up Super Tuesday, but voters some places could be heading back to the polls for some races that aren't quite decided yet. THV 11's Rebecca Brown breaks down for us on how the runoff elections work and what you need to know before you go cast your vote.
Arkansans went to the polls for 3 weeks straight to cast in their March primary, but they could be back for a second time in April.
State legislative races, for instance, or county races, school board races, those will go to a runoff, which will take place on April 2nd, which is coming up in a few weeks.
Super Tuesday ended with many races called, but some races are still not final.
We had several races where there were more than 2 candidates. In Arkansas, if you don't get more than 50% of the vote, that race will go to a runoff election.
Chris Powell, press secretary for Arkansas Secretary of State, says runoffs are extremely important.
Literally every vote can matter. They can come down to just a handful of votes deciding, an important race.
But if you weren't registered to vote in the primary election, can you vote in the runoff?
You have to be registered 30 days ahead of an election, and the cutoff was Monday. So the time frame for registering for the runoff, if you weren't registered, has already passed.
But he says if you are registered and didn't vote on Tuesday, Arkansas rules say you can vote in whichever partisan primary runoff you wish, meaning Republican, Democrat, or Libertarian.
However, if you did vote in either Democrat or Republican primary, you have to vote in that same runoff.
Powell says this year's primary election had the lowest voter turnout since 2018, so he's encouraging everyone to get out and vote.
If it's your legislator that's being elected, or your school board member, your county judge, or something like that, we want people to have their say in who's representing them and making decisions on their behalf.
In Little Rock, Rebecca Brown, THV 11 News.
Rebecca, thank you. And Powell there mentioned some of those races that we might see. They're expecting 3 state legislative races in that runoff in April and potentially 5 judicial races that'll be runoff in November.